the Middle-aged Bodcast. Getting older, but having some laughs.
Welcome to the Middle-aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shelano.
And T.A. is episode 8 of season 4. And it is a very special episode today because it is our cooking special.
It is indeed, Rich. So motivated by your culinary expansion in your podcasting life, we thought, what better than to embrace your new chefing, cuisine expansion and various dishes and do a cooking special where you and I would essentially cook a dish each.
Yeah, that was something we discussed a few weeks ago, actually, just before we were recording an episode. Well, basically, around Christmas time, I got 2 different cookbooks, both by the same chef. Obviously, she has been mentioned on the podcast a few times before, Poppy O'Toole, who is quite a local chef in terms of where she was born, but not a local chef in terms of where she now lives, because I'm pretty sure she's based in London. Unlike us, who are still here in Birmingham, living the dream.
What dream's that then?
To become the greatest podcasters of all time.
Okay. And great chefs. Great chefs. Oh, at least better than we are. I mean, the pluralization of that is interesting because I think out of the 2 of us, actually, you've definitely taken on that mantle far greater than I. So yeah, I've got catching up to do on this. Although, I think this was a good test case for doing more. We've talked about it over the 4 seasons that I'll put in as part of your, improving health, well-being and all the rest of it. And it's an area that you and I have never excelled in. So it is positive to see how much you've certainly taken it on. Yeah, I feel it's something we could do more of in the future.
Yeah, I think you're bang on with that, TA. I've got 2 cookbooks by Poppy. I have the Actually Delicious Slow Cooker cookbook and the Actually Delicious Air Fryer cookbook. And we decided one of us would use the air fryer book, one of us would use the slow cooker, each do a dish just to see how we got on. It was not a competitive thing or anything like that. You went with the air fryer option, I went with the slow cooker. We will be putting some pictures of our creations onto the podcast socials, so please do look out for that. For once, we have not done the spoilers of putting them on in advance as to when we actually cooked to release date. So, yes, listeners, you will be able to see these fantastic creations of ours today on the podcast, coming up a little bit later on in the day.
I think for the under the Trades Descriptions Act there, Rich, the fantastic creations might be pushing it just a little bit. Although, I was quite happy with that.
So, yeah, I suppose we should talk a little bit about the dishes that we made, really.
Yeah, so go on then, Rich. What was your pick?
I must admit that I'm not a big fan of shopping for ingredients. And so my pick was one that had some of the least amount of ingredients available. I did the buffalo chicken, which I think is kind of a bit of an American-inspired dish. It's basically like pulled chicken, but a little bit spicier, got a bit of heat to it. It was basically the perfect choice for me. So essentially, you get 3 skinless, boneless chicken breasts, a bottle of Frank's hot sauce, which I did worry would have been too hot, but it wasn't. It got the balancing just right. A teaspoon of onion salt, a teaspoon of garlic granules, and 1 tablespoon of light brown soft sugar. And I have to say, TA, I was really pleased with it. Me and Ruth had it for our dinner, and yeah, had it with some cobs, should we say? Yeah, to use a Midlands reference. It was really nice. One thing I would say, because it is essentially just put it all in the slow cooker, and then obviously once you've done that, you shred the chicken at the end. One of the things that I did that it doesn't really tell you to do in the book, but I'd seen on other things, is once I shredded it, I actually left the shredded chicken in the slow cooker for a bit with that sauce and mixed it up a little bit more just to get the sauce over the chicken. And I actually bought some sour cream to put onto the pulled chicken because I thought you need something to just bring that heat down a little bit, which was very well received. Ruth really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It says it serves 4 portions. I would say it serves 3 portions in truth.
I think for the benefit of the dieting that you and I both still need to do, the portion control was probably adequate. It's just I eat too much.
Spoiler alert, I did.
So do you want to talk us through a little bit more around then any preparations you did before he was going in the slow cooker? Was there anything else to do, or,
Well,
were you well supervised?
no. I did it all myself. I had it all sorted myself. I went to quite a large supermarket brand that is close to us. So not the one over the road, but one still within walking distance. I went and got the ingredients. I had a few of the bits already, but I just thought it would have more choice than over the road does. So I went in there, I got the ingredients, came back and just set up, ready to go. And yeah, it was a really easy to do dish with brilliant results. Would definitely make it again. I actually said to you the other night when we met up that we were planning some future episodes, and I did suggest to you that it's something you should give a go to as well, because it is such a simple thing to make, and there's barely, you literally can get all the bits in the slow cooker, go and do the rest of your day, and then just towards the end you have to go back and obviously shred the chicken up and whatnot. But yeah, really, really good dish. Poppy actually recommends serving it with jacket potato as well as an option, so I might try that in the future.
Excellent. Well, that sounds particularly positive. I'll have to have a look at that one. I don't mind using the slow cooker as well, to be honest. I am obviously quite a fan of the air fryer, but slow would be good.
Yeah, and I do have a story about the slow cooker from this week as well. But let's get on to your dish, TA. And what did you choose from the air fryer cookbook?
So I went for lemon and honey chicken skewers. I thought that would be quite a good one in terms of it being the kind of the summertime. It feels like it's more of a dish for this kind of a season than perhaps more of an autumn or winter thing. Now, like you, Rich, I come out in a cold sweat at the sight of recipe books where there's about 200 ingredients and, lots of sort of prep that you need to be an aficionado for. So when I picked this, I spoke a little bit. I mean, the actual recipe itself turned out to be not too bad to do. It actually had quite a few ingredients, many of which I would say fall into sort of those spices or additions, those little bits. So the sort of main ingredients for this, again, much like yours, is mainly the chicken breasts. But beyond that, there's a lot of sort of minor things like thyme, garlic bulb, zest of the lemon, that kind of thing. So a bit of olive oil and all the rest of it, a bit of salt, a bit of pepper. I imagine people listeners go, these are not major ingredients, but they're major ingredients to Rich and I promise you. One of the good things about Shelano is she does love her cooking. And actually, she should probably do a proper cooking special and educate better of us. But, maybe one for a future season. But she's got her own spice cupboard, Rich. And what she's done is she has done it in alphabetical order. So there's like 2 shelves that run across. I was going to say A to Z, but as if the listeners don't know what an alphabet text is. So some of the ingredients were already available, which is handy. And I think my advice for the novice is going to be, if you're going to get into this kind of thing, the seasoning and the flavouring is so important. So it's probably wise to start up your own sort of spice cupboard. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, haven't you already started something of this of your own?
I have indeed. I've actually been buying a few bits. I actually started doing it just around the time of the infamous chicken satay. And
sorry, Rich, how on earth did a chicken satay ever become infamous? But there we go.
A throwback to a previous season there, but yeah, I went and I bought a few little bits. Then Ruth told me I should do it anyway. She said, you need to probably get a few extra bits. So I did actually buy some stuff that wasn't part of this recipe just to add to the, as you say, the spice cupboard. I do need to clean that cupboard out and properly, as you say, maybe alphabetize them or something like that to put them in some kind of order.
Alphabetize? I don't think I've ever heard that word in my life. That's an expansion of a word.
Alphabetize. You've got to have heard that. So there you go. But yeah, essentially you put them into the alphabetical order. You alphabetize them. There you go.
You alphabetize and then you appetize.
Ah, very good. Very good. I like it.
Hey, that's it. That's it. I'm here all week.
Oh, well. That's fantastic. Well, you are if people listen to this episode every day.
Who would listen to this every day? I mean, you could listen to some of our other back catalogue of episodes, of course. There's 41 that go before this, if you're looking for something to do. So there's a little bit of prep work in this, but not huge amounts, Rich, basically. So you have to have wooden skewers, and it is recommended you basically soak those for an hour with hot water first off. And I think the main idea of that is to stop then the chicken and whatnot from sticking when it's then cooked in the air fryer, which makes perfect sense. You've got to zest a lemon. You know, maybe not everybody's idea of fun, but I did have a crack at that with the grater. I was about to call it the shredder, which shows my level of cooking ability. Grater, I'm glad the brain brought that back to me there. So shredding the outside of the lemon as opposed to squeezing the lemon itself. Well, no, you then squeeze the lemon itself, the juice, but it's a bit of a double up there. And then you're chopping up your sort of garlic and getting your honey and all the rest of it into a mix in a bowl. So you mix all this stuff in a bowl, and then you chop up your chicken, you put the chunks and stir all of that into the bowl, get that covered in the fridge also for about an hour to marinate, which obviously works well with soaking the skewers. So you've got that sort of time just to build into your thought process. And then you bring it out the fridge and leave it out for half an hour, basically to get it to room temperature. You heat your air fryer up to 180, thread the chicken pieces onto the skewer, and you cook for about 8 to 10 minutes until chicken is cooked through. And you can sort of brush with honey every now and then if you want to. And one of the suggestions to go with it is pasta. Mr. Shelano and I love pasta. So that's what I was also doing at the same time, which, again, timing-wise, in terms of putting the skewers into the air fryer, you can kind of cook pasta on the hob in around the same sort of time frame. And so actually, it come out pretty well, and Mrs. Shelano liked it, which is good. I mean, you have your signature dish. As you know, I have mine, which is my pilaf. And I think this is it. You and I have often stuck with our signature dishes. It's good to break out of the comfort zone and expand on the repertoire, as it were. So it was, on reflection, it was a relatively straightforward thing to do with minimal amount of planning, really. Not a huge amount of ingredients or anything of huge technical ability to carry out. So it was a thumbs up in the Shelano household. Yeah, so a good one from the book. Pleased to have chosen it.
That's brilliant. I think it's been a real success. Like we said, trying to do something. I think as well, you mentioned that about the cookbooks. One of the ones we've mentioned in the past that's a bit of an awkward one is Jamie Oliver's cookbooks. I think they're notoriously get a bit complicated sometimes.
They can do. I think I've had that discussion with Mrs. Shelano before, because she does quite like his cookbooks, right? I feel like they're not aimed at the novice. They're aimed a little bit more at the more intermediate to advanced. So they're a bit harder to do. I think I did do one once that I deemed, having gone through the book a bit, of like the least difficult option for someone of my level of catering ability. I think you have to find the right thing. I suppose the other thing that we have to consider, Rich, from a health point of view as well, is what you should do that's going to be part of a healthy calorie controlled diet, which, as you and I both know, is something that's not something you and I follow perhaps as much as we should. So the idea of prep and using cookbooks and sort of controlling in advance what you're going to do is probably a good way of running a successful diet. So yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking here at the moment. Have a cooking podcast will be the spin-off of the Middle-aged Bodcast.
We could do. You never know about that. I am thinking though, TA. We've got these cookbooks now. We should try another dish each, and we should flip it round. So I'll do an air fryer one, and you do a slow cooker one. So maybe for season 5, we should do that.
I'm quite happy to do that. I don't mind, as I said earlier on, using the slow cooker. I think both are actually quite useful devices for the more novice cook, aren't they, really, for the most part, in their own way, I think.
I think so, but they also just offer up such... Convenience sounds like the wrong word, because convenience is normally used as a sort of negative term in cooking, I think. But you kind of think with a slow cooker and with the air fryer, you have much less kind of, not room for error in timings and stuff, but obviously you've got essentially a container to put the food in. It's not like you're putting it on trays and you're roasting something on a tray while you're doing something else, and then you know what I mean? You can kind of, yes, you have to do the prep, and like you say, with your dish, you have to do the marinating and stuff like that. But the actual sort of effort of the cooking, it's useful for things where if you don't have the time, for example, you've got to get to work, or you've got to, you get back from work and you just want a little bit of a quicker time to do things. It does help.
I mean, the air fryer, from a timing point of view, obviously is technically a quicker payoff than the slow cooker. I suppose anybody listening is going to go, well, the clue's in the title, TA. But, you teach us to sort of suck eggs here or what, which is a different cookbook. But the slow cooker idea is, I feel like there's that little commitment at the beginning with the slow cooker, is the way you're doing what you need to do to get the stuff in there, with the idea that you're then going to have the short-term bit hours and hours later. So as in, if you then have a really bad day, whether you'd been working from home or you'd been out or whatever, you've put this thing on for hours. You haven't then got to think, I've got to start something potentially from scratch. You're coming in and go, actually, got something that's basically ready to go. And there's some great things in that as well for particularly the winter. I think you can do some great sort of winter warming kind of dishes in that. Noting this is obviously an episode in the summer, but, we've covered stuff that's probably a bit more friendly for the season. But yeah, and these are things that I suppose if you think about all year round, you can really expand on what you want to do and do lots of different interesting dishes.
Well, I actually have. I mentioned this in a previous episode. I've done the slow cooker chicken casserole, and I did it again. I cooked it during the day. Obviously, set it all up, prepped it, fried the sausages, and then put a few things in there. Now, I will say, I had the packet seasoning, and I've done this now twice in the slow cooker with two different brands. This was the brand I originally cooked the sausage casserole in the casserole dish in my oven with, which is my preferred of the two for the flavouring. However, I made a bit of a faux pas here, and I forgot to put one of the ingredients in while I was prepping because I was rushing around. I'm looking at it, and it had been like an hour and a half into cooking, and I'm going, that doesn't look right to me. I'm sure I forgot something. And because you've been rushing around and you've sort of missed that one little simple step, I hadn't put the tomato puree in. So I did that, stirred it around, everything started to look like it should. And I was like, okay, great, now I can leave it. I have to say though, doing this in the slow cooker like this and using the flavour packet, as I said, you take that little sachet of flavour, you look on the back, it tells you all the ingredients. I've got most of them in my new spice cupboard.
Who are you? This is honestly for our listeners. This is the complete opposite of who you used to be. You love your superhero things. You were a takeaway man. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm listening to you, and it's like you kind of remind me a little bit of sort of those kind of chefs that you see on the TV now. The guy's there and he's doing his cooking, or like the hairy bikers and all that. They kind of got into, you like really moved into this. You've got your own spice cupboard. I don't know, but I don't know what to say.
I'll say as well, with all that cooking and all the stuff, I've been experimenting with all kinds of things, like even beans on toast. I started adding things to it. Put a bit of butter in there to make the sauce a bit creamier. I put some pepper in there. I put some paprika in, some smoked paprika. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. You always shake your head and laugh when I say paprika. I have no idea what. Go on then, say it.
Paprika.
Paprika.
Okay, that's okay.
I said paprika. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, yeah, I tried a little bit of that. Now, I have tried it with paprika before, and I have to say, this was just the normal stuff. It wasn't the smoked one. I was like, oh, you know what? I don't really taste it. Put the smoked version in. Oh, yes, very nice. I've tried a few different things as well with, I know it's a quick, easy, it's a bit cheaty, but the naan bread pizzas, tried a few little variations on that as well with some other of those spices and things like that. And they're a very good plan. So yeah, just trying to find myself things that are, obviously things I can just have for lunch that are nice, quick and easy, but you can just elevate them slightly, even though they're using a lot of cheap ingredients or whatever. And then, yeah, for my evening meals, trying to just at least once a week, I want to cook something properly where I can. I have failed a little bit in recent weeks with that, where, I've probably not done it as much as I should have done, but I'm back on track now. And what I have been doing actually, while that's not been happening, I have been making my own lunches. So I am, although maybe one thing's not been happening, the other has been. So making my own lunches as well has been a massive step in the right direction. And again, all thanks to Ruth. She took me to the supermarket and she was buying herself some stuff when we were on our way to her place. And she was like, I got to get some stuff for the week for shopping. Do you mind coming with me? I was like, yeah. And as she was going around, I was looking, I was like, oh, I could get this. I could make something from it. And then the next time we went shopping, I bought myself a few bits and bobs just to make some lunches. So the little chicken tikka bites and things like that. So I got a few of them, got some dips that I used just to drizzle over it, and got some of those wraps and put them in that. And again, I know you should do the chicken yourself and whatnot. I totally get it. But as a little thing of doing that rather than going to a certain bakery that's famous for its sausage rolls and buying all of that, you know what I mean? It's a better option in that respect.
Well, it is. I mean, again, it's the wording and the terminology you're using. Drizzle over. I feel like I'm listening to Nigella here. What is going on?
There'd be far more innuendo if it was Nigella, surely.
Well, I suppose. I mean, that's a good point, though, around making your own lunch. Means that you're more likely to do something that's healthier and better for you, and then not do that whole on the hop, oh, I'm just going to go to said bakery or said place where you probably end up having something that's not great for you, full of calories, and ultimately hits the pocket, because that's the other thing as well. If you make your own lunch, then there's a economic saving in that as well. So, yeah. Now, there is something, Rich, that I have to bring up on your cooking journey. I think I know it's an overused phrase, from sort of talent shows in recent years. But in episode 1 of this season, where we were joined by the lovely Liz McClarnon, the Tommy Kit, she suggested to you that one of the next dishes that you cook be steak and chips. Now, my question is, are you going to cook steak and chips soon? And will Mrs. Shelano and I be invited to participate in the taste test?
Oh my God. Just because I didn't do the chicken satay for you. All of our listeners, by the way, have been pointing out that I was supposed to cook the chicken satay for TA and Mrs. Shelano, and I ended up cooking it for Ruth.
Well, I wanted the steak and chips.
This is where you're into the steak and chips. I do need to do it. So at some point, yeah, we'll do that. We'll try and sort something out. Maybe I'll cook it for all of us. Yeah.
Medium rare, we like it.
You see, this is the problem though with all this. This is partly why I don't like the idea of doing it, because it's like the whole medium rare and well done. I'd rather have it well done. That's just me.
That means you just take ours off a bit earlier.
Yeah, but it's just I've got to do all faffing around. I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen.
Okay, fair enough. I look forward to that. I know Mrs. Shelano will as well. So what's next for you there, Rich, for cooking? Did you think?
I need to redeem myself for a couple of things. So I can't remember if I mentioned it on the podcast or not, but I did Toad in the Hole a little while ago, and I made a right mess of it. Well, I say I made a right mess of it. The Toad in the Hole was done really well. The fact that while making it, I realised I had no gravy, and Ruth had to go over to the supermarket and get gravy while I was cooking it. And then she came back and went, well, what are we having with it? And I'm going, that's a really good point. And I felt awful. I felt really bad. I was really disappointed in myself. And Ruth said I was being a bit too hard on myself, because it was nice as a dish. It just needed a side with it. So I would like to have another go at that as well at some point and redeem myself with that. And yeah, just sort of build a few things up. It's going to shock a lot of listeners. I have never made a fry-up. So maybe that's the next step, to do a fry-up.
Well, I think that's as well you start to expand into things that require certainly as well a bit more thought as you're doing stuff as well, isn't it? So a bit more juggling of things, and that's sort of starting to build up then your skill set
I should point out, I've done like not all of, but most of the individual elements of a fry up I have done. It's just the fry up.
So, for the benefit of anybody that's ever had a fry up, you're saying that you've at some point probably done a bacon sandwich, possibly a sausage sandwich, maybe some toast, maybe some beets, and maybe an egg, is what you're saying, in each in their own individual ideas. And now it's bringing those together in the collective is where you're going to get to. I recommend making sure you do have some hash browns. Not the healthiest, but
Oh yeah, got to do hash browns.
very, very tasty.
But yeah, I think that's the next step for me. Try and do a fry up. Obviously, the steak and chips has got to happen.
I tell you what, I am looking forward to getting back in the kitchen again soon, which I don't know yet what I would do, but I definitely do want to get back into it and agree with you. I've got certainly catching up to do in on you, but I need to certainly push this for myself. But what I will most certainly rail against, you will know that as I was trying to bring out my wonderful dish that I cooked, Mrs. Shelano appears in the kitchen with her camera phone, filming me and sort of getting in my way. And I was really annoyed with that because she'd have hated it if I'd have gone that the other way around. And it's like, please, I'm trying to get this food out for you, keep it warm, so it's nice, and then sort of just get in the way. So my when I'm cooking, it is a Mrs. Shelano free kitchen. That's what I would say, or if other guests are around, it's like, no, I don't about you. I like to generally be in the kitchen myself, focusing on what I'm doing, and I don't like people kind of coming and getting in the way and disturbing a bit.
It depends on what I'm doing. If it's something I'm quite confident in and whatnot, and I've done a few times, I don't really mind it so much to a level. I don't want them in the way, but if they're there just having a little chat, it's fine. But if it's like something new, it is hard to try and kind of get it right because you're trying to read the instructions while you're also getting distracted by someone.
I've just realised I'm already taking on the persona of a chef. Which, get out of the way, move, no.
A bit more profanity to take on the true Gordon Ramsay nature.
Well, there is that. But yeah, okay. She'll learn for next time.
Next. But I think it's been a success, as we say, and it was a good thing to do. I think definitely keep it going in the next season. Let's do that again. Let's maybe flip it the other way, like you say, and swap the books around and do that, and maybe even look at some other cookbooks. I've got a few. And then, we'll just sort of see what else is there. There's a few recipes actually in this slow cooker book that I was looking at that I found I'm quite interested in trying out. So there's a fair few things that I can have a go at.
So there's options. Obviously we both did chicken on this occasion. So again, maybe next time it might be good if we do something ponga different, maybe, and just mix it up a little bit. Maybe one of us do meat dish, one of us do a fish dish. I don't know. Just a thought.
What if? Obviously, neither of us are vegetarian, but what if we challenge ourselves to do a good vegetarian dish each?
Okay.
That could be something. Like, I think vegan's stretching it a little bit too far just because of sourcing ingredients and whatnot. But we could do a vegetarian dish.
Okay. I can see. But a lot of the cookbooks do have for those options in there. So maybe that could be again healthy, exactly the sort of thing that we should be contemplating. It's something we should do. It's something we should feed into the fitness and the health and actually getting on properly with trying to lose the weight that we need to lose that we haven't lost enough of so far through the 4 seasons of podcasting.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think, this is a great reason to be doing it. And actually, we're getting through the summer. We're heading towards the autumn and the winter. As we're approaching sort of the end of the year, and sort of that's when season 5 is going to end, sort of towards the end of the year. So actually, we've got this opportunity to kind of from now to then build this little baseline and set a few targets. And I think it's important not for us to go crazy with targets and just sort of say, look, this is what we want to do. I'd like to balance out the cooking with a little bit of fitness and a little bit of mental health as well, and mindfulness and things like that. So there's a lot of things that we can be really properly doing. And I think we haven't completely made it into a laugh, but we haven't taking it 100% seriously over the course of the podcast. So I think it's time to now start actually taking it seriously and sort of looking at things, because I know even these little things that we've been doing have been helping. So imagine what it would have been like if we'd have gone even further with it.
Yeah, I think that's wholly a reflection, isn't it? That there's more could have done, and it's been sporadic, perhaps at times, around fitness and cooking and different things that we might have done. So yeah, focus is the key. But doing it, like you say, in incremented steps is how you can build up to something.
One thing we have failed on, and we both said we wouldn't do it, and we've both been guilty of doing it. When we've gone out for meals with our friends, we were like, we won't have a starter, we'll just have a main, or we'll cut down some of the sides. I think that's part of it as well. Like, we've got to start sticking to that. If we're going to start doing these things, we've both got to hold each other accountable for that.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Absolutely need to do that. So
Brilliant.
That was catering with Raging Rich and T.A. Shelano.
And I will just say, podcasters out there, if you have used either of Poppy's cookbooks, the slow cooker or the air fryer cookbook, please do leave us some comments, reviews, send us some messages. Let us know what you've cooked. Tell us how it went, so we can, maybe in the next cookery special, we can do a little bit of a shout out to you.
And then we've got another guest episode coming up next, Rich.
Yes, tune in next week for Carolyn Dreyer. She's going to be joining us in our penultimate guest episode of the season, talking all about mental health.
Cheers, Rich. I look forward to speaking again soon.
Yes, thank you very much, TA. And let's get planning our next cooking challenge. One more middle-aged podcast in your life?
Of course you do. Follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes stuff, extra larks, and all our latest updates.
We're on Instagram and Threads at Middle-aged Bodcast.
Facebook's easier. Just head to facebook.com/Middle-aged Bodcast.
If you're still hanging on to Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, we're at Middle-aged Bodcast.
And if you're on Blue Sky, it's at middleagedpodcast.bsky.social.
Or you can swing by our website, middleagedpodcast.co.uk.
Give us a follow and stay in the loop.
Cheers for listening.
Two best mates, yeah, they're taking a stand. Raging Rich and TA, got your health in the hands. Wayans, laughs and tales they tell. For beats and nights, the workouts, they're keeping it real. Oh!